Hey guys, what's up? I am GojiFan98 and welcome back for another new video for today. Today I am going to continue on for the next episode of GojiFan98's Godzilla-Thon. Today we're on the 16th entrance in the Godzilla series and the beginning of the Heisei Series with The Return of Godzilla, which is my all-time favorite movie from the Heisei series. Everything was all about the story of the film. It's great. Now, The Return of Godzilla has a very interesting history we're going to discuss about. After 9 years away from the movie screen since Terror of Mechagodzilla, Toho finally bring back Godzilla back into the screen, with this time with a bigger budget and a milder look. Now, way back in the 70s, after Terror of Mechagodzilla didn't work well with the box office, Tomoyuki Tanaka and Toho have been working so hard at trying to bring Godzilla back throughout the years, but there are a lot of ideas that was meant to going to happen around that time, including the one thing I would love to see in 1978's Godzilla vs. Gargantua, also known as for the title script called US-Japan Collaboration Godzilla, supposed to be a co-production between Toho and UPA. Either if Sandra or Gaira could survive in the volcano sea action during the end of the War of Gargantua, or maybe there may be a new monster spawned of their remains. But according to Henry G. Setterstein, Godzilla will fight against cyborg version of the monsters. But this never came to pass. But the idea of having Godzilla fight against Gargantua will later be used in the comic book series in IDW comic series Godzilla Rules of Earth. But there's one thing I wanted to talk about, the rumor thinking there was an official movie called Godzilla vs. the Devil. Now, thanks to I got some source, I fully understand. Godzilla vs. Devil is not an official canon movie. It's some kind of rumor. It comes from a documentary from a book. Toho Kingdom had posts about that long ago on the early days in the internet, but apparently it was removed into somewhere else. So Godzilla vs. the Devil is not an official canon film, so let's just leave that. So anyway, there was supposed to be intended to be a remake of the original Godzilla by the title as King of a Monster Resurrection Godzilla, but the first draft was submitted by the same screenplay writer who wrote The War in Space. Not only Tomoyuki Tanaka was not interested in that idea, he commissioned the second draft, which Akira Morale wrote that, and to bring back Jun Fukuda is supposed to be intended to direct it. But the film was never came to pass, and I was glad that one did not make, because I do not want to see a remake of the original Godzilla, because I just don't want to see that. So let's move on. But around in 1979, there was one movie that I am gladly that did not make. A Space Godzilla. No, not to confuse the Heisei villain of a 1994 film. It has nothing to do with that. But that idea was ended up becoming alive in the book instead, but there was unused puppet for it. But I was glad that one did not make. That was making no sense for me. But also, Shinichi Satsagawa wrote a screenplay called Godzilla Legend of the Oscar Fortress, supposed to be intended to release in 1979. But according to John LeMay's book, it was supposed to be intended to release in 1980s, about right after The Return of Godzilla at the time. I don't know if that was true, but I might keep that as the 80s, so that's all I have to say. Anyway, let's move on. By 1980, still had no make any Godzilla movie throughout the time, Tomoyuki Tanaka wrote his own proposal, over 47 pages proposal. The title was called Resurrection of Godzilla, where Godzilla will fight against a shape-shifting god monster called Bakken, the original name for Bakken, that has three forms in the original script for Tanaka's proposal. It started with a monkey beast form, but when it gets in the sky, it transformed a dragon god beast, and later when he was in the water, he transformed a water god beast. But apparently this idea never came to pass due to the budget cost that Toho didn't want to take that chance to produce such a big budget movie. Even with Godzilla's name was attached, Bakken's transformation will be source of concern. But there were a different title version of the idea. The second idea, where Hinichi Nakahara and Akira Morale collaboration on a revived script for Resurrection Godzilla, which, while very close to Tanaka's 1980 proposal, different in a few ways. But this time, in this redraft, Bakken has the fourth form called Total Bakken, was known as Demon God Beast form, But every time Bagan changed form, it healed his wound. But when it transformed into all combinations of three form, it could no longer change form and no longer to heal itself, which allowed Godzilla to defeat him during the final fight. As more revisions were made to the story, Bagan and the other elements were removed altogether, but the idea was later be replaced with what would become the Return of Godzilla. I was like, are you kidding me? The Resurrection Godzilla should be a very great movie. I really prefer that one should be made. I would have preferred to see the 1980 version. Imagine if Ishiro Honda and Akira Ifukube supposed to be returned to work the idea. According to John May's book, The Lost Film Mutant Edition, said it proposed director for Ishiro Honda and proposed music composer by Akira Ifukube. But it also around in the 70s, there was one idea called Godzilla King of Monsters by Hinichi Nakahara, and they were supposed to be attempt to be revive the Bride of Godzilla project in 1970s to feature the sea louse. Oh, did you know about the sea louse was based off a giant flea monster that sucks blood? Well, it comes from the 1956 canceled Bride of Godzilla script. Tanaka wants Nakahara to revive the idea of a giant flea bug turning into a giant sea louse instead. But the sea louse concept art can only be found in the complete book of Godzilla 1984 book. But this monster is portrayed by a puppet. As I was a kid, I was scared of that thing. Even I hate when it's making a noise. And yes, now let's talk about the casting. Before Yosuke Nakatsuki finally came back to appear in the Godzilla movie after 20 years, the film was supposed to have to bring back Akihiko Hirata back to portray the role of Professor Hayashida. But unfortunately, Hirata was too ill to make an appearance in the film, but he sadly died on July 25th, 1984 before the film began. Before Hirata passed away, he appeared in one more movie before that, came out in a year in 1984, Sayonara Jupiter, playing as Dr. Illinois. I seen that movie, it was pretty good, but it was so sad that it was Hirata's final film. But I wish they should have filmed it earlier, make filming in 1983, and get it released in 1984 before Hirata passed away. Just make it earlier. Yeah, that would be cool. But Yosuke Nakatsuki ended up finally came back to school to star in the film, playing as Professor Hayashida. Now, before Koji Hashimoto directed the movie, it was originally going to be Ishiro Honda when Tomoyuki Tanaka offered him to return. But Honda declined the offer as he was too busy working with his friend Akira Kurosawa at the time, and he probably said that Godzilla should have died with Eiji Tsuburaya and discontinued the series. But Koji Hashimoto took over the director's chair instead. While Ifukube was also offered by Tanaka to return to compose the movie, but Ifukube was unable to do it because he was retired at the time. Probably said the same way what Honda said. But the new composer by Reichiro Kuroku was ended up being hired. And this is the last time Teruyoshi Nakano worked for special effects director in the Godzilla film series, until he makes one last working appearance in 1987's Princess from the Moon. The special effects was pretty good. Nakano did a great job, but there's something I want to mention. The Godzilla had a brand new design this time, and he looks very more scarier than he is before. This Godzilla suit actor, this time it was played by veteran Henry and Gigan suit actor, Kambasho Satsuma. Now during when I heard, when he was in, apparently it crushed Satsuma's leg, but it's because of the staple. But Satsuma also reported he was losing his weight during the filming, like Haru Nakajima did when he loses weight during the filming of the first Godzilla. I like Godzilla's newest dorsal fin, it looks pretty interesting. And I like Godzilla's newest roar, and the one thing that's pretty interesting about it, they bring back Godzilla's fangs and its ears and four toes back in action. Oh yeah, when the movie came in Japan, released in 1984, with a title essentially called Godzilla. But this is not a remake. The movie is a direct sequel to the original Godzilla 1954 movie, and it completely ignored all the other 14 entries in the Showa series, as Toho reboot the series to make it a different story of what they want to tell. They are each different times. And also, we have brought back one of the characters from the Showa series, Goro Maki, but he was played by Ken Tanaka, and this is his first time appearing in the Godzilla movie. And then, Ken did a very great job portraying Goro, from my opinion. Even I love his reaction scene when he turned around and see the sea lions was right behind him. Well, that part scares me when it make that noise. When the movie came in the US about a year later, after its Japanese theater release, New World Picture got disturbing the rights to Return of Godzilla by giving it a title as Godzilla 1985 and get Rick Burr back to replace his role as Steve Martin. And yes, what I learned from Kaiji no Kame, he said depending on what the version you watch, there may be some difference between sound effects and music. Well, in the 1985 version, the fight between Goromaki and the sea lions was only short, but the sea lions' roar can also have different hits. But not only that, I really recommend you guys listen very closely that hits. You can hear his original Japanese uncut roar can be heard too. But in the uncut version, it was very longer. Even when it jumps Maki's back, that part was really scary, by the way. And yet, I almost got a heart attack when I saw that. I was like, oh man, I don't like this part. Well, to me, it was my childhood fear of the sea lions. I know that thing's not real. Not what it's big, no. But there was other script of the same title as Godzilla's name. One of the script that I'm really glad that did not happen. To have a mini spawn of the sea lions attacking a fishing village. But the idea of that was ended up in a Dark Horse comic adaptation, the Return of Godzilla book. The title was called The Terror of Godzilla, with a mini spawn of the sea lions attacking Yahatomaru. But in the movie, there were only just one. And I was like, okay, why they do that? I was like, seriously. Also, I want to tell you, before it was in 2016, The Return of Godzilla was the only Godzilla movie was never get official here in America released until on 2016 when it came on DVD and Blu-ray by Kraken Release, who have released all three of the Showa Godzilla movie, Godzilla vs. Sea Monster, Godzilla vs. Hedorah, and Godzilla vs. Gigan. This is the first time we finally got an official copy like this one, but it also will have the same cover like this one on Blu-ray, that's pretty impressive. Now, the Godzilla 1985 version was never officially released on DVD here in America yet because of a copyright, because of New World Picture reused some of the soundtrack from Defcon 4, which came out first before Godzilla 1985 did, because there was some other music you didn't even know where it's coming from. But it actually comes from another movie at the same year in 1985, Defcon 4. But imagine what might happen in the future if we finally get Godzilla 1985 in official copy on Blu-ray, if Criterion or any other DVD company might get all disturbing rights, all 7 of the Heisei Godzilla movie to be on Blu-ray, and finally get Godzilla 1985 copy. Now, if you're probably gonna wonder, how did I get 1985 version of this one I had? Well, I got it on Spend Gorilla. Apparently that website was closed down in Halloween, that's kind of bummer, but I managed to get it before that happened. So yeah, what's all I have to say for The Return of Godzilla. Stay tuned to next episode. I will review the 17 entrants in the Godzilla series. Well, before I have to go, I want to say one last thing. The Return of Godzilla is the last movie to appear in the Showa era because the Heisei era wasn't even started till January of 1989. But I'm not saying the Showa series, I'm saying the era. The era is like in Japan era for the Emperor, which is I put in the description below, where I have learned from Wikizilla that The Return of Godzilla is the last film to appear in the Showa era before the Heisei era came around, till January of 1989. Well, that's all I have to say. Stay tuned to next episode. I'll review Godzilla vs. Biollante, and this review is a request from my fellow friend of mine and the Godzilla fandom named Brittany. I want you to go subscribe to our channel, which is I put it there below, I don't know how I said our channel's name. So, Brittany, if you're gonna watch this, I want to say thank you so much for waiting patient. Your request of my review of Godzilla vs. Biollante is coming up. Stay tuned for that. Bye!